Yeah. Well, before we start to wrap it up for the night, do you have any other like kind of just general recommendations for maintaining sexual health and safety in a world that looks very different than it did 5 years ago?
Absolutely. Make sure that you are getting consent with whoever you are engaging with. Always important. Um, Make sure that you are, if you feel like you're at risk for infection, that you're getting tested. Probably every time you get a new partner, you should get tested. You all should get tested, just to make sure that there isn't something that you don't know about, because some of these STIs can be asymptomatic and you might pass them on. So just being cognizant of other people, and that you don't always know who is confirmed to have had something, or who hasn't been tested. So be sure you're doing that. You can also, if you're looking to get tested, a lot of times your primary care physician or whoever's handling your general health, you just walk in and you say, "Hey, I'd like to get tested," and they'll oftentimes do it for you. And a lot of times the good ones won't even ask you. They won't interrogate you like, "Oh, but why do you want to get tested?" They'll usually do it because we all know it's very important. So, um, and that's kind of the big ones. If we're talking
Mhm.
about monkeypox specifically, again, the same things apply to STI risk, like use protection, get tested, get consent, make sure that everything's out in the open, you're transparent. Um, but then if you know you're at risk, stay home, get the vaccine, get treated if you're symptomatic or if you're appropriate for treatment. Cover any areas of skin that are open lesions, because you don't want to spread that way. Wear a mask, all that good stuff that we've already been doing. But kind of the newest one for the monkeypox is that covering up any skin that might be transmitting it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and if I could just add a little bit to that, that little things can make a big difference. Like I was saying, my entire family came down with the COVID, and with just a few precautions, washing your hands often, keeping your distance from folks that are sick. We live in a pretty small apartment in very close quarters, and with just a few simple common sense precautions, one of us didn't get sick. So these little things can make a big difference, and they do work.
Fair to say. Yeah, it's worthwhile to take these things seriously. I know, Ben, you were talking earlier about how there's this just kind of national desire to pretend that this isn't happening, and to kind of like bury our head in the sand. And I get it. I relate to it. I think I've contributed to it in more than one way. But it's important that we recognize our vulnerabilities. The therapist in me just wants to scream about all of the folks who have been so shamed because of their sexual habits, that now those things are kind of like buried from their own view. We have an incredible capacity to deceive ourselves about our risk factors. And I'd like to encourage everybody, no matter who or how many folks you're having sex with, that's okay. But also recognize that there are some risks associated with that, and we want to be risk aware. Not necessarily overwhelmingly adverse, but at least aware of those vulnerabilities, and to take the appropriate steps, whatever that looks like for you.
Solid
Absolutely.
advice.